Hello and welcome back, and a big hi to the Larkin and the Quinn family who are watching in New Zealand. Well, here we are in the hottest summer for many years, and times are still strange and challenging. Things are proving too uncertain for the Newpoint Youth Group to produce a complete show. However, to ensure the continuity, Newpoint are offering the young actors a 2 week programme, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week for free. And many of our Newpoint professionals are coming back to lend a hand. Apart from the usual drama and fun, they'll be directed by a playwright to compose a short monologue, which they'll then spend time on perfecting over the 2 weeks, giving them an audition piece or a show reel. They'll have workshops led by professional stage managers, costume designers, dancers, makeup artists, set designers, lighting designers, film actors, stage actors and stage directors. And the idea is to give them opportunities to learn of all the other work available in the industry apart from acting. In this episode of my conversations, I'm joined by one of the early members of the youth group who's now head of drama at St Paul's. Pauline Lynch followed in her older brother's footsteps to the Newpoint rehearsal room and performed with the youth group and the adult group for many years. Here we look back over those years, the festival circuit, the trips on the bus with the cast of Marat Sade performing on the stages of Newry Town Hall and the Arts Centre, and how the inspirational Sean Hollywood could always call on her for her party piece. In conversation with Pauline Lynch.
I remember John was in Newpoint Players, and I remember looking at pictures of him and listening to his stories when he came home. And I remember thinking, I really want to do that. And I remember seeing a picture of him with Sean Hollywood on the stage, and I can't remember what it was, but they were both at a table and they were leaning across the table, obviously in performance in a scene. And I looked at it and I thought, that just looks really cool. This is something that I want to do. So then I met Sean, obviously went for auditions and all that sort of thing. And the rest is history. I mean, meeting Sean Hollywood just changed my life. My career and everything about me is drama. And I remember my very first play with Newpoint. It was called Sorry, Wrong Number.
Yeah.
And I was the only one in it. It's an old woman who hears crossed lines, and there's these men and they're plotting to kill this woman who's at home on her own, but they're actually plotting to kill her. So I got the part, and I was so chuffed. It was fantastic. I'll never forget it. And I think, even just meeting Sean in the early days and looking at him and looking at the way he worked, it didn't, at the time you didn't know, but he was changing your life. Because I remember then, Sorry, Wrong Number was the first one. I'll never forget it in one of the scenes. I lifted the phone, but the phone rang. So I obviously got that all mixed up and I was so nervous. I remember coming off and looking at Sean and he was, never mind. But the next one after that was They Shoot Horses, Don't They? And it would have been a full summer every day.
Yeah, with the youth
I remember going, it was brilliant, Declan. I remember going to rehearsals and thinking, I don't want this day to end. And I couldn't wait for the next day. And every single person, and I know that now, maybe I didn't know it then, but every single young person on that stage felt the same way. Because Sean made you feel like you could fly. He was just...
It was an epic production as well, wasn't it? I mean, it was a cast of, you talk about a cast of thousands, but certainly, a huge cast that had to be marshalled and disciplined and be disciplined in rehearsals. And for a protracted period of rehearsal as well, because it was July and into August and then production in September.
Yeah, it was massive. And I used to, looking back, you think, how did he do it? But it was so easy for him. It was so easy the way he did everything. Nothing was difficult. He was so natural with us, and it was absolutely brilliant. And I remember looking back and thinking about, because John would have been the first really that did acting in our family, and obviously Susan has done acting since that. And Seamus is involved in films as well. He very much in the lighting end of it. He would have a job there. And Jacqueline never really did anything in the entertainment, once or twice. but she's a nurse, you know, she works in the hospice. But like John was the first, and I do remember looking back and thinking, I always knew I was going to get into Newpoint, and having done that has been great because it's changed everything about me, you know.
Your lovely mama always had a great relationship with Sean, and you know when you saw the two of them meet, they always sparked off one another, and you know he
Yeah,
enjoyed her as much as she enjoyed him,
I
and
know.
there was almost a play to be written between the conversations that they were having together.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, she loved him, and they had great fun. She was in a play, you know,
No, I didn't know that.
Mama. She was in one of the Newpoint plays.
Oh, right, brilliant. What one
And
was it?
yeah, it was John, Paul, George, Ringo, and Bert. Obviously not that one, but the one that we did. And Peter was in it, and she grabbed a pint of beer off Peter in the thing. And I remember the night she did it, the beer went all over.
Do
It
you,
was great. She loved it, you know.
do
It
you
was
think
great.
do you think is there anything in the blood, the Italian blood coming through that meant so many of you got involved in the stage and in film and in acting?
I definitely think so because Mama was great fun. She was so funny and she was so natural with her comedian, like her jokes and different things. So I definitely think we got that from Mum. And of course Daddy as well,
Uh,
because Daddy's a great storyteller actually.
yeah, yeah.
So I think there's a bit of both of them that has affected us in terms of our careers or in terms of what we do, you know.
You talked about John, Paul, Ringo, George, and Bert, and I remember, and there are some shows where lines stick in your head, but I remember when you were involved in John, Paul, Ringo, George, and Bert, the first version, there was a line about Paul McCartney's chicken,
Oh
and that was your line, and that was the
yeah,
line, and I remember Sean going over it with you and over and over and over with you. Can you remember the line?
yeah. And you know, my mate Linda from where? Well, she had this party. Yeah, 21st it was. And Paul McCartney came to it. I nearly died when she told me that bit. But while he was there, she offered him this piece chicken. But he only took one bite and left it. So my mate Linda took the chicken and put it on the dressing room table in her room. You know, a souvenir like. And after about a week, it began to smell a bit. And after 2 weeks, it began to smell a lot. And after 3 weeks, it stunk the whole house out. The smell of the chicken flesh slowly rotten. And soon the whole road was smelling of it. So her dad said he was going to throw it away. But my mate Linda locked herself in her bedroom, just staring the stinking chicken. She wouldn't come out or open the door for no one. And after about a week, her dad couldn't get no answer from her. So he called the police in and they broke the door down and guess what they found? Linda lying there, dead, breast to breast with Paul McCartney's chicken.
Oh my God, brilliant! I didn't expect you to
That's the
know the
one.
whole scene.
Honestly, I remember it.
Well, that one, the lying there dead with Paul McCartney's chicken was all that I remembered, and that's all I expected.
Yeah,
You
Paul
know that? Well done,
McCartney's
bravo.
chicken. Yeah, and whenever we used to go anywhere to festivals or anything, they always used to ask me to say the speech, you know.
All right,
We used to have
fantastic,
a laugh.
fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
that is brilliant, and that is what. Well, that's at least 30,
Oh, it has to
35,
be.
30, 40
That
years
is
ago.
so long
40
ago.
years ago, Pauline. What a memory. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I'm such a wannabe, you see, Declan.
I know. But listen, I've got your number and we'll give you a call.
That's what Sean used to say. In fairness, I've got your number.
I don't know. Did you ever get involved in the pantomime with Charlie?
Never,
Oh, you see them.
never.
Oh,
The only, that's true. Don't call me, I call you. The only pantomimes I was involved in was the one that we were in.
that's
There were
okay.
a couple of
Yes,
them that
yeah,
Roma
yeah.
directed.
With Roma and John.
Roma, and she had written them and directed them, and John directed one.
Yep, yeah. That was
Oh,
the one. It was called the Snow Rose Fairy.
what a laugh we had.
And I was a singing, dancing tree.
Jacqueline, you were a great tree.
Oh, thanks very much.
You're the way actors always say, I can play a tree. You were a great
People
tree.
always said my performances are very wooden.
Icicle Lee, I switch. No, she isn't here. She's away up the mountain in her ice cave. Oh, yes, she is. Oh, Cody, Tina!
Having fun, are we? Dancing and singing, are we? Well, not all of you are. You, my dear, are just what I need to cook and clean and sew for me. I'm bicycle the ice witch. I'm going to take her to my ice cave, and you'll never see her again.
Yeah, that was actually and UTV came and did a piece about that, because that was the Arts Centre putting on a production to help unemployed young people.
That's right.
We were young then, young people.
It was fantastic. I loved it.
And get theatre experience. It was brilliant, because I was Roma, as you say, wrote it and directed it, and John, what do you call John? Arts Centre
Keys.
director. John Keys.
Yes.
John was the Arts Centre director at the time, so he sort of commissioned Roma to do the piece. But the great thing about it was, again, it was a bit like Newpoint Youth. We rehearsed it in the Arts Centre, and then we put it on the Arts Centre for schools. And it was before school productions were really available for schools, and it was a great opportunity for them to bring the schools to the Arts Centre. But not only did we do it in the Arts Centre, we also took it around some of the council community halls. Because remember going to Cross McLean, and we went somewhere else. We went Warren Point. I think we did it in Warren Point.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah.
And then came back and did it for a week in the Arts Centre. But it was great crack. And Tommy McLaughlin.
I loved it.
Yeah, that was good. So with Newpoint, then you were with Newpoint Youth for a number of years, and then moved on into the adult group and got involved in the adult shows and the festival circuit here as well. Did you enjoy the festival circuit?
I did. I loved them. Yeah. I remember Marat Sade. I remember being in that, and I remember Joanne was in that. Joanne Burns, which is now Joanne King, and what a laugh we had. We went on the bus and we used to make sandwiches and all, and we picnics at the back of the bus. It was great fun, honestly. But I'd been in plays with Joanne from I was obviously in Newpoint only. I was no age but we've had she's such a great actress. I loved working with her.
It was another epic production, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was amazing. Sean Sloan was in that, and Denise. They were fantastic. I mean, the whole thing, and we just cleaned up.
Yeah.
We kept getting awards. It was fantastic.
And then
that was Sean. Sean was at his best then. Sean was he was fantastic.
It's the best show because of the concentration, the feeling, the emotion, and the impact annoying the audience. I've been watching everything. Okay, let's go.
And when you looked at Sean over the years, you were saying that sort of early experience with Sean directing, the Shoot Horses Don't They in the youth groups, and then moving into the senior groups. Did you see his style changing and how he dealt with actors and the whole of the productions change over the years?
I kind of did, and I think it was just that the changes that he made just changed with regard to age and with regard to the people that he was working with and that sort of thing. I mean, Sean always had it. I mean, it was an instinct in him to be able to direct and to work with people, particularly young people. And how John got into acting is because Sean taught him English and was in Coleman's. Like, when you think about it, Sean was never a drama teacher. Yet he was so fantastic. Like, he just knew And I think it was probably from reading plays and just that natural talent that he had, you know. But it was great to watch him. And as I said to you earlier, I wasn't sitting as a child going, isn't he amazing? Because you didn't.
No, you didn't.
But looking back, you just go, yeah, that was the masterclass in drama, in how to teach drama, you know, Sean. Like, he was amazing.
And it felt a big loss when Sean sadly died far too young. And I suppose at that stage, everybody was wondering, you know, how do you replace someone who had given so much and had the time and the opportunity and the talent to give so much? But Newpoint has survived through that. And I know even, you know, people have come back and directed, and you worked with Susan, and Susan directed you in a Newpoint production.
In the Clearing?
Yep.
Yeah. She was amazing directing in that. But then she is, you know, she's so talented. And but then everything she's learned, I mean, she can speak for herself, but I'm sure she would have a lot of her stories would come from our youth and Newpoint and all of that as well. So, but that was a lovely thing. And The Clearing was such a fantastic play.
So that obviously, that Newpoint grounding then brought you into a world where professionally you thought, this is something I would like to, having absorbed and taken on board, like to give back. And when did that change come to you? When did you change direction and think, this is something I'd like to do professionally?
Yeah, I wanted, from a young age, I knew that I wanted to do something with regard to drama. And I wanted to be an actress, but part of me was afraid, you know. Part of me was afraid of branching out and putting everything into it and not being able to manage it or not being able to get there. So I auditioned for drama schools. And I had auditioned for about 2 years, didn't get in. Auditioned another year, didn't get in. Got a recall to Bristol Old Vic, and then they wrote to me later on, we've reconsidered, we're not giving you that recall. So that was the year that I thought, no, I have to make a decision on this, because I wanted to go the drama school route, because Susan did and John did, and it was so good for them. So after that year, I decided that I'm going to concentrate just on earning a living. And then I got married to Sean the year after that. So, and then I went back to, as a mature student, to college, and I met a fantastic teacher. And I remember him sitting there with his novel, and he'd just sit it down and he'd just sit back and he'd just talk about the characters and the story and the context. And I thought, this is what I want to do. And I met him once and I told him, Tom Turley is his name. He was an amazing teacher. So I had other fantastic teachers in that school, John McCall, Jerry Doherty. I mean, but those people and those really positive influences that make you think about what you're reading and think about what you're studying, it was brilliant. It really was. And especially going back as a mature student, it was very nerve-wracking to begin with. But obviously I wanted to do my degree. And when I decided what I was going to teach, then I did my PGCE, and, you know, but it's just been brilliant. And I think talking to you now, Declan, about Newpoint and knowing, like, even our history, and I know we didn't act in that many productions together, but you and I both know how it felt being in Newpoint Youth. Indeed. And in Senior Newpoint. And the lovely thing now is that I'm able to share my knowledge and my passion for drama with my students, who are amazing as well, in St. Paul's High School. So that's fantastic that I'm able to do that. And, you know, looking back on all of that time, isn't time a wonderful thing when you come through it? And all the great things that happen to you that influence your life, you know, in the present moment. It's just been great, really, you know. I've been very lucky.
When I was talking to Derval MacDonald, who was in Newpoint Youth as well, you know, and she's now working in journalism and broadcasting, and she said, you know, it's wonderful to be part of capturing history at this moment in time as a journalist and a writer, and as a dramatist and someone producing and developing. You're becoming part of history. You're reliving history. You're retelling it. But it's all about telling stories, isn't it? And enabling people to tell stories. and you've stepped into the world of directing shows yourself, and bringing probably what you learned through Newpoint into the directing role.
Yeah, well, I've directed 6 productions with St. Paul's now, musical productions. And the students, as I said to you, in St. Paul's are so talented. I mean, every year when you have a show and you go, goodness, weren't they amazing? How are we going to do this again in 2 years? We're never going to get the same caliber of talent. And we always do. It's like what you said about Sean, when he died, everybody sort of thought, what are we going to do now, kind of thing. But Newpoint hasn't stopped. It's gone from strength to strength because of people that believe in it and that want to continue directing and want to do all of that. And it's just brilliant, But I love directing. I think it's the best thing that you could do,
And I think it's brilliant too. I've talked to quite a few people who've been involved in school shows, either performing in school shows or producing school shows. And David Cunningham from Uri Musical Society, who was taught in Kilkeel High School and then became the principal of Kilkeel High School. You have a way to go to catch up with him, because you've done 6 musicals. He's done 42 musicals before he retired. And they did them every year in the school.
Wow. Every year is a lot.
Every year group deserved the opportunity to take part in a school, because it gave them so much confidence. It gave them so much skills of working as teams, developing, progressing. But that was some contribution over the years. What shows have you done with the school, Pauline?
Oklahoma, Fiddler on the Roof, The King and I, Les Miserables, and we did The Sound of Music and Beauty and the Beast.
And all big, challenging, again, big scale production.
All big, yeah.
It's a big school, so you're reaching out into all the different departments to bring their skills together for a school.
Yeah, but it's great because Jarlath is very supportive of drama, and always has supported drama. And every 2 years we have the show, and it's fantastic because he really supports that. And that's fantastic. It was coming from the top. It has a brilliant effect on everybody because everybody knows that it's there and that it's going to happen,
And he's also taken part in certainly at least one of the shows that I went to see. He was in Greece many years ago. Oh,
yes, that was a good while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've got a good memory. all the facts here in my little books. I actually think
yes, I remember that. I think there's pictures on the wall, actually.
Never mind pictures on the wall. I have a tape up here of him in performance.
Really?
Yeah, I'll see if I can dig that out and send it to you. Do you enjoy the musicals? Because in Newpoint, it was very much, there was a play with music, as Donald.
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. Because I always thought that I would never be able to manage musicals, that I always thought that straight drama was the way to go. But musicals are fantastic.
If you had to go back and start again, would you maybe embrace a bit more of the musical theatre on your journey?
Yes, I definitely would. Now I know I'm not the best singer.
You could carry
so maybe that would stop me a wee bit. But apart from that, I would, because I love it. I think musical theatre is fantastic.
We've been through a tough 14 months, is it now, of lockdowns and schools opening and closing and virtual and non-virtual, and can you work virtually and can you not work virtually? How challenging was that for you in your role as an educator and trying to develop and bring young people on across that period of time?
Well, it was tough because, first of all, not only the curriculum you have to deliver, but also get used to technology, which is not my best area at all. But we all had iPads. We were all given iPads from the school, which was fantastic because it meant that we all had the technology and we just had to make it work. But the most important thing about lockdown for us was teaching the children. And that was very important that we didn't stop that. And that obviously came from management and I think they were right, because I think if children don't have the structure and the discipline of class, it's not good, because things can get lazy, and I think discipline is a wonderful thing to keep children motivated. So and yes, it has been tough, but it's also been tough for the children.
Yeah.
It's been tough on parents, and we all did our best, and we've all come through it. Touch wood that we don't have to go back.
Yeah, yeah. In terms of
You know,
drama, then, and developing drama, has that been possible? Has it been possible
well,
for
I
you
still,
to bring them
yeah,
in and develop them in terms of their techniques and their performances?
well, with the online teaching, obviously it's not as good, because you're not in the room with them and the chemistry's not there. But you try your best, with play readings and character studies and different things. And some of them are really good with that, and will get into that. And some of them just don't. They just stay seated and that sort of thing. But you just have to go with them, and whatever they can do, I'm happy with that.
If there was one show you'd love to pick up as we're coming out of lockdown and present again in front of an audience, in the room with us, what show would that be?
It has to be Oliver. And the reason I'm saying that is because we actually did want to do Oliver as our last one. We couldn't because of lockdown, but I've always wanted to direct Oliver. And Susan was in that in St. Paul's.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, she was only first or second year, I think. But it's fantastic. Great music, great story, and all the characters, it's just fabulous. So that's the one I would love to do.
Well, listen, probably not this year, but next year. I think
hopefully.
We'll be hoping.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That you'll be saying, consider yourselves at home, become part of the family. Pauline, it's been a real treasure sharing your memories.
Oh, thank you.
If you think back to those early Newpoint days, did you ever think back then that you'd be where you are now?
No, definitely not. Like, I'm the head of drama in St. Paul's, and I love my job. I think it's because I'm around young people so much, and they're just so amazing. They're full of energy, and they're so talented and everything. But no, definitely not. When I was in Newpoint, I would never have thought that this would have happened, and it has. And I have to say, it's because of Newpoint. It's because of Sean. It's because of meeting Sean Hollywood. That's really where my destiny lay.